How you feel about talking some ACC since we're in ACC country? We talked going over ACC, maybe going over this week, next week, and then the national rankings. Last week you and I discussed how bad the ACC is, and it's our conference.
Yeah, man.
The theme somewhat continues. However, I think there's some good points. What'd you think about Thursday night? Our friends down in Charlottesville, University of Virginia Cavaliers, held on to beat
Miami.
It's a really good win for them. They're right there with the Coastal.
I
watched the game. It was back and forth. Quite frankly, I think UVA is a little bit better team than that. They did play on the road. So that was a big win for Virginia. So congrats to, all of our good friends, your friend Jason Wallace, my friends from Phoebus, David Brown,
Sean Moore.
Brian Gerzak, Mike Husted. Got a lot of UVA guys, a lot of Hokies, but good win for them. So, we can open up into that Coastal division, but it's wide open.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
not going in any particular order, but number 23, NC State. Okay. NC State's 4-1, 4-0 in the conference. However, they struggle with the Louisiana Tech team in Raleigh. So a little bit of a, I'd say NC State, they've always had talent. That's a tough school to win in football. But, if they run the table, Clemson looking down. I didn't get to watch that game, but that was good. And then the other one, Rusty, was Louisville.
Wake Forest. Hey, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Wake Forest program because they do a lot of good recruiting from the Northern Virginia area. Look, when are we going to just admit that, Wake Forest might be legit? I mean, I don't know if it's an indictment on the ACC that Wake Forest is good or the ACC is that bad. But what I do know is this. Look, they put up 40 on ODU. They beat them by 32 points. They put up 40 on Norfolk State. They put up 35 on Florida State. They put up 37 on UVA. And they put up 37 on Louisville. Like, that's not just winning. Like, that's balling. They're putting up points. They're, none of these teams are great, but they're winning. And what happens with winning, it can become contagious. It also, it becomes like your confidence, the expectation, and they're going to look and feel like a good football program. And they're in the right conference to have success. Look, the remaining games on their schedule, bro.
That's what I'm just looking at.
Syracuse, they can definitely beat.
Yep.
Army, they can beat. Duke. Look, by the time they get to UNC is beatable. Like, UNC beat Duke, but Wake Forest, if they're rolling and they're confident, the only real trip ups, between now, and the end of the season, the potential is UNC, of course, NC State, Clemson, and BC. Actually, I take it back. They're finishing with a tough schedule, but those are just ACC tough. Is my point. That's ACC tough.
That BC is a trap game. I know it's the last game, and what if Wake and NC State is for the Atlantic Division? Who would have predicted that? Because,
right.
Clemson, they struggled this week. So, but going back, something that bothers me a little bit is Pittsburgh rolled over Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech beat North Carolina. I think North Carolina's a decent team, but we've got Pittsburgh a week from Saturday coming into Blacksburg for homecoming. So, that worries me. Pittsburgh is a program you and I talked about. We're waiting for the right person to get that thing rolling again. Get that Pennsylvania talent. So, but North Carolina rolled over Duke. You know, the Coastal is up for grabs. Anybody can win it, including Virginia Tech and Virginia. Lastly, it's the last second field goal. Did you see it? Florida State beat were you thinking wide right? Remember when Florida State?
Yeah. Oh man, they would always lose to Miami.
Wide right.
Oh, wide right. Yeah.
So want to set up, you know, your brother played for Virginia Tech, got a lot of Hokies out there. Tech is sitting with a golden opportunity. Saturday, 7:30 game, ACC Network, Comcast. Man, we got to get that thing ironed out. I got Hulu, fortunately, so I can watch a game. But we're talking about it. How do you feel about Notre Dame losing? Do you think it would be better for Virginia Tech if they would have won, or do you think it's better that they lost? Notre Dame to Cincinnati.
Well, so I see it this way. I think it's probably better. It's not better in terms of height for them to say they might have at that point beaten the number 3 team or number 7 team in the country or whatever the rankings would have shaked out this year. But you're still playing Notre Dame. Like, you're still playing against Notre Dame. They're ranked, but what I think helps them is to go, they're vulnerable. They can be beaten. Like, they had close games earlier. Like, Notre Dame played close. Florida State and some other teams. So you thought, well, maybe they're really not that legit. Now you know they're human. Like, you know what? Why can't Virginia Tech beat them? I have always thought Notre Dame was not great. It was the name associated with good teams, but
they're
not
always
great.
Overrated. They're always overrated.
Always.
Miami Hurricanes are always overrated. I don't know if you recall, but it was 2 weeks ago before the WVU game when we were ranked. Virginia Tech was ranked number 15, and I said, "Are we really the 15th best team?" But
let's do this one day. I want us to dedicate a show to rankings because it's all politics, bro. Look, Oregon was ranked number 3, okay, and they just caught an L. But I think it's the way people are voting. I don't think anybody's truly voting with their heart, because what they're doing is they're saying, you're in the SEC. You have a good record. You should be ranked. And look at all the SEC teams that start to just tumble. I think they last week, I don't know what it is. I haven't looked today and counted, but they had 8 teams in the top 25. Yes, it's a tough conference. Yes, they are pretty good teams, but they're also going by traditions and names and that conference association of stature. And then I think some teams get ranked because they just say, hey, we got to have some Pac-12 teams in there. Hey, we got to put some Big 12 teams in there. Hey, we got to throw a couple of AAC teams, but we're not going to give them that much respect. Look, they will purposely start a Cincinnati, a Houston, Memphis, or UCF, purposely start them politically low. Like, they may think, oh, well, a weaker conference, not as much tradition. But when they know if they start them lower, it's harder for them to attain a higher ranking. So by the end of the year, they won't be in that top 4, 5, or 6 and make it even a good debate for making the playoffs.
All right. Prediction for next Saturday night for the Hokies. We got a lot of people, 55,000 alumni in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Any of you folks that are from a different part of the state, like down in the 757 Richmond, a lot of people don't realize the nation's capital, the biggest alumni base is Virginia Tech. It's not Maryland. It's not Penn State. It's not UVA. It is Virginia Tech. What do you think? What's your call? You can give me, instead of just a call, give me a little of analysis. I would love to hear that from you and make a prediction, because that's what we're all about. I said broad run, so I want some people to tell me how wrong I was.
Okay, so definitely a Notre Dame win, and let me tell you why. Okay, I think from one perspective, Notre Dame losing to Cincinnati lets Virginia Tech know that they're vulnerable. But on the other hand, if I'm taking the Notre Dame view, I'm going, okay, we got to bounce back from a loss. Let's take it out on Virginia Tech. And so what I don't see is Virginia Tech. Going into the year, I've said Virginia Tech would probably be about where they are. Like they're 3-1 and they should be. I didn't know where the L would come from, but they'll win the UNC or they'll win the West Virginia game. They could beat Notre Dame. I just don't see it happening. I'm still not convinced that Virginia Tech is a good football team this year. And when I say good, I'm saying by the Virginia Tech standard of good, not the bowl game standard of 6 or 7 wins. I don't think Virginia Tech is going to beat Notre Dame. And I say that from this perspective. I know they could beat them. It's possible. But if the way I put it is, Kirk, who would you put your money on? And without a spread, without a handicap, like who would you bet straight up? And if I had to bet, I'm betting on Notre Dame.
All right. So I was going to start out with my analysis and then tell you who I'd put my money on.
Okay.
But then I was going to jump to, because you're like, who would you put your money on? I'll start out with my analysis. All right. This is not a bad team. Okay. But what we have to think about here is Frank Beamer has retired. That 23-year bowl streak, total different coaching staff coming in, a lot of different changes. There's some dynamics that Justin Fuente has nothing to do with, okay? Kids leaving the state consistently. The top 20, UVA and Tech only getting 2 or 3. That's not Justin Fuente's fault. That's not Brad Cornelson's fault. That is not Whit Babcock's fault. That is something that Maryland, Virginia, UVA, West Virginia. So this is not a bad team. I believe this team can be good. I think Notre Dame's banged up. I like our defense. It's not what it used to be. Let's not compare it to Tyrod Taylor. Let's not compare it to those teams that were loaded. All right, this is different. So I would say here's the key.
Hold on. They're not loaded, but Notre Dame does have talent. Like Notre Dame does have 4- and 5-star players. And we aren't getting them in the state of Virginia. But go ahead.
No, I understand. But you know what? We used to beat teams with 4 or 5 We used to beat teams like that all the time, like Miami, when we started beating them. And Tech has never gotten a bunch of 5 stars. We started getting more 4 stars, but Tech is always
right
on 2 and 3 stars. Cam Chancellor was a 2-star.
Okay, but let me say this. Let me say this. Now I'll let you finish. We're not getting the 5 stars, but you know what we did get? We get the 2 and the 3, and we develop them. The guys other people kind of overlooked. When we were mining the 757, when we were getting those Western Virginia kids and the Northern Virginia kids that were the 3, the 2s, we developed them. And you might not have seen it year 1, but if they redshirted, if they got stronger, if they ate well, and they were in the right system, those Virginia Tech players, it became a pipeline of just churning out some good football teams and developing that talent.
Don't forget this. Christian Darrisaw had one offer, I believe, Virginia Tech. Okay? Christian Darrisaw went number 17. That's a Justin Fuente recruit. That's not a leftover. So we could head in the right direction. But getting back, let's not talk about Virginia Tech forever, but we got a lot of fans. I would say Braxton Burmeister needs to play better, okay? He's a good quarterback. He needs to play better. Love the kid. Good young man. Got a lot of good skills. He needs to play better. Is he playing bad? No. I think he's a better quarterback. And I think that they should use the weapons they have at wide receiver better. Now, the backfield, that's a conversation we could talk about. I thought about the backfield when I saw that kid Tyree from Notre Dame running. He's from Thomas Dale, Ken Oxendine's high school. You know, the kid Travion Robinson from Ohio State. We go on and on and on. But the backfield, we need to get as much out of it as possible with Jalen Holston and Raheem Blackshear. They need to step it up, okay? I love Trey Turner from Greensboro, Trey Turner's number 11. Trey Turner gets a lot of touches. Burmeister plays well. We run the ball. Notre Dame's banged up. Virginia Tech's going to win this game. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great win. And if I'm wrong, hey, I'll root for my Hokies. I like my Hokies. I think this is a pretty good team. I didn't say a good team, a very good team, but I think they're doing a lot of things right.
Okay, Kirk, here we go, bro. Gambling is now legal in the state of Virginia. You can bet on sports.
Is it?
Yes, it is. I'm going to bet you.
I just shot some dice. I just shot some dice in Belmont Country Club, so I hear you.
$5, and we'll keep record of this. And you don't have to give it to me the next day because we may use that $5 the next week in another bet. So, and at the end of the year, if we get 1 or 2 games a week that we predict, we'll just see how we end up on our predictions. We're not using point spreads. We're just going straight up. Okay. So right now, ladies and gentlemen that are following the Kirk and Byrd show, in fact, I'm going to try to create a poll and put it on Twitter. Who you got, Rusty or Kirk? And if I lose, you can donate pennies to help me pay Kirk $5 if you think that Notre Dame was going to win and they lose. But not a Notre Dame fan. For my $5 worth, I'm picking Notre Dame.
What? And you're saying we're going to put a poll? All right, that's fine. I say we bet a case quarter. Hey, hold on. We got Rusty. This is what
we could do. I tell you what, though, we could do just like Shannon Sharp and Skip do, and they always bet Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew. Like I could that's my favorite drink in the whole world. Actually, it's caffeine-free Diet Mountain Dew because I don't get the caffeine and I don't get
to drink Mountain Dew. You got to have the caffeine. Anyway, here's the second poll. How many kids up here in Northern Virginia know what a case quarter is? I would love to see that. All right, so I'm going with Notre Dame. I'm going Virginia Tech. You're going Notre Dame. So now, closing out, we're going to go to the college rankings and talk about those a little bit.
Yep.
I do think that the Atlantic or the Coastal's wide open. And do I feel as confident that Virginia Tech will win the Coastal? No. But this is a big step. It's an opportunity. Let's look at what's in front of us. Let's concentrate on that. Let's eyes on the prize. I think Virginia Tech, I think we're going to do it. I think this team's coming together. And if I'm wrong, hey, optimism. So we'll put some polls up. I want you to do that, though. I want you to put up, is Rusty right with Notre Dame? Is Kirk right with Virginia Tech? And we're betting a case quarter. So, and then let's ask these kids that follow us, how many of them know what a case quarter is? I'll go shoot some dice, over at Stone Bridge and put in a case quarter. So, all right. So we wanted to close out. Now this is a fun one, Rusty.
The rankings just came out today. College football
just came out today, and give me your thoughts.
You know what? I have no real problem, to be honest with you, with the top 10. I'm thinking they kind of got a lot of it right. Very quickly, the only thing that really stands out to me, and we're just going to go from the AP top 25. These are all teams I've seen play. They got some of this right. So number one is, by nobody's surprise, shock or surprise, Alabama. Number 2 is Georgia. They're both 5-0. Though that will probably be the SEC championship game, East versus the West. But the number 3 team, man, I saw them Friday night. And they played the University of Maryland in Maryland. It was a blackout night. Wow. And Iowa really looks good. Like, I saw them up close. Their running game, their receivers, their defense. Like, Iowa is legit number 3, bro. Like, I'm not going to argue with that. Iowa looked good. And then Penn State, I'm glad they're getting love. I love Coach Franklin and what they're doing. And Jeremiah, that's his team. And he called it. He was looking forward to the game. And then you got to give Cincinnati props. It's funny because going into that game, Cincinnati was ranked number 7 and Notre Dame was ranked 9. And I actually heard an ESPN announcer when he was reviewing the game say, Cincinnati upset Notre Dame. how does the number 17 upset the number 9 team? And I think there we go again with our just thinking of tradition.
Right.
You know, Kelly left Cincinnati to coach at Notre Dame.
Yep.
And Notre Dame's balling, man. Like, so that they proved to be where they should be. Now, I'm not high on this Oklahoma at 6. They're undefeated at 5-0, but a lot of close games, way too many close games. Their defense is still that Big 12, run through us defense. I actually would move Michigan up. You got Michigan at number 9. And the other team I really think in Michigan State should definitely, to me, be ranked higher than Oregon, Ohio State, and Oklahoma. And the team I think that deserves to be in the top 10, but they're just not getting any love, is Coastal Carolina at 5-0. I'm glad to see Kentucky. Now, this is a big leap. Kentucky
Stoops.
Yeah, like they are 16. And that's a legit SEC team that I'm very impressed with. I watched their game. They have a kid, Reuben Adams from Woodbridge, who's an offensive lineman there. And Kentucky went from not being ranked to number 16. That's a big leap, big leap. You got Ole Miss. Again, this is that SEC thing. Ole Miss was ranked number 5. I'm sorry, they moved down 5 spaces. They went from 12 to 17, and they got trounced by Alabama. So you still have all of these SEC teams in the top 25 with Auburn, but Wake Forest, maybe I think they need a little more love as well.
Yeah, well, Wake Forest is going to play some games. When I think about this poll, following up on what you said Friday night, you were at that game. Iowa did not look like a big power a big power Big Ten, running.
The traditional.
Man, right. They had some speed. They had some serious speed.
Their back is out of Georgia. And how did he get out of the South? How did he get out of ACC and ACC? That kid was the state player of the year, Gatorade player of the year in the state of Georgia. Those kids are going to Florida State or Clemson or Georgia.
Yep. Well, Iowa's got a great tradition. And then I don't know if you saw that seam route that their tight end ran. They're tight end. And he got past the linebackers. I thought he was going to outrun the safety. He got a lot of speed. A lot of people are not going to like this. But Penn State's going to Iowa City. I like Iowa to win that game. I mean, Penn State, I won't be unhappy. I'm a Penn State fan. I like the program. I like Franklin. I like a lot of local guys, a lot of Virginia guys, a lot of Maryland guys, Northern Virginia kids. But I do like Iowa. And then, I don't know, this just keeps popping at me. Can anybody beat Alabama? I mean, Georgia handled Arkansas. And then when I think about Georgia always plays Auburn. Georgia's going to play Florida. The world's largest cocktail party. I don't know. Can anybody stop Alabama? And then
Alabama can stop Alabama. If Alabama has turnovers and it's against the right team, Alabama can lose. I just don't see a way it's going to happen before the SEC championship game. It could happen in the playoffs, but since we're still at just 4 teams, they'll be that number 1 overall seed, so they'll probably play the fourth best team.
Yep.
So I think they're on track. Even if they lose in the SEC championship, they'll be in there.
I would love to see Georgia win it for all those Georgia fans. I mean, it's been 41 years since Georgia's won it, and that school is just such a powerhouse, great tradition.
I have no more love for Georgia.
Why's that?
Okay, 2 things that happened to Georgia that's why I just don't have love for them. One, they had their chance to beat Alabama 4 years ago when Tua was the quarterback, and they let Tua come in and throw that touchdown to the kid that's the Heisman, Deontay Smith, right? So they had their chance, and then the other thing they messed up with, Georgia had Justin Fields and said, no, and granted, they had a quarterback that had taken them to the national championship game. But on the field, they didn't do what Clemson did and just say, we're going to play you. And Justin Fields transfers and he plays great. Now he's in the league. So didn't like first of all, didn't like that they didn't play Justin Fields and he moved on and they had their chance to beat Alabama. So I'm done with Georgia.
Well, that part, I will parlay is a term I use. That transitions me into two things. There's two teams in college football that I think are set up to win quite a bit more than they did, and that's Penn State and Georgia. Penn State, biggest program up north. They recruit, facilities, they've got it all. I really think Penn State should win the national championship more, and that's no slight to an incredible program. The other thing is Georgia. Georgia owns Georgia. Now, you might say, no, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, Jamal Lewis went to Tennessee. Well, hey, the metro Atlanta area has enough recruits for 6 or 7 universities. The thing is, they get a fair share. But when it comes to the other areas of Georgia, you're talking about Rome, Macon, Warner Robins, Valdosta, Cordele, they get those guys. Guys. They've got great facilities. And I think that's a program that, Alabama, it doesn't matter. Alabama, by the way, for the state of Alabama and the size of Alabama, a lot of people don't realize this, they put out a disproportionate amount of good football players. And as does Mississippi too, by the way, which is a big state. But those are two teams. And I do want to give a shout out to Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina, man. People aren't giving them the love because it's a newer program. It's only, I don't even think the program is 20 years old yet, 25 years old. But they are playing some outstanding football. They're putting up big numbers. They just need a chance. And this is part of my argument for expanding to 16 teams. I used to say maybe 8, but no, I need a 16-team playoff. And let's see if some of these teams can play with the big boys. And what'll happen is this, in the first few years of a larger tournament like that, if they're 16 seed and they're playing number 1 Alabama, they'll get drunk. But when you see those teams, you'll have a little more respect for them because they're not going to always get drunk. Like maybe they're the 8th seed and they play a Minnesota, they play a Penn State, and they get a win. Now, when they start having some validity, because those teams will not schedule them, they won't schedule a Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina, they're one of their only big Power 5 schools is Kansas, and Kansas is not a Power 5 team. It's just in a Power 5 conference. So if Coastal Carolina, those teams can get on a roll, the App States, they have a recruiting base that will allow them, the kid that says, you know what, South Carolina, Clemson, they show me, they recruit, but they're not showing me all the love. I want to play a little earlier, and I want to play for 4 or 5 years. Like, I'm going to go to Coastal. I'm going to redshirt, still play 4 games my redshirt year. And if I play 4 more years, by the time I'm a senior, and Clemson is losing kids after 3 years, even though they're rotating, I like those programs. App State, Coastal Carolina, all of those type of teams. Look, the AAC teams, the Cincinnati's. Now, look, the Big 12 is stealing 3 of them. So they're going to take Houston, Central Florida, Cincinnati. But I want to see all those teams just get a fair shake at winning the national championship.
Well, you know how the money in college sports goes. So that's going to be a tough one to climb. But I tell you, let's make sure we get those polls out. And we want to ask people to definitely take this podcast and this video. We are on YouTube, the Kirk and Byrd, BYRD, like Lady Bird Johnson, the Kirk and Byrd show on YouTube. And then if you want to listen to us when you work out, when you drive, etc., we'll have Buzzsprout on social media. We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter page. but we are on Apple, Amazon, Google, and Spotify. You can listen to us. And we're going to put that poll out there. And I will say this, next Saturday, there's going to be 2 great games on. I would think Penn State at Iowa's got to be the primetime game. Got to be. The Herb Street, well, I would think game day will be there. Kinnick Stadium is a great stadium. They got the Children's Hospital overlooking it. That's going to be a great game. I think Iowa's going to win, but you know who I'm pulling for. I'm pulling for Penn State because I love Penn State.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah. And then Tech, they're going to beat Notre Dame. I'm going to win a case quarter for me. You know, if it was in the old days, I could buy a Mountain Dew from the old machines where you could pay a dime. But, all right. So, Mr. Hudson, Rusty Byrd, any closing comments? You're going with you're going to bet a case quarter on the Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. And look, let me tell you something. Let me just say this last thing. This is also one of those bets. I'll win either way. If Notre Dame wins, I'm right. I win. But if they lose, I feel good because Tech got the win. And I don't like Notre Dame. So I'm a winner either way. You know what? This is a lose-lose for you because you're going to lose, Kirk, and you're going to lose.
That's all right. I got a closing comment. There's a little bit of talk out there. It's old school because Hampton's been stale for a while. You can't crush a crab. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I say that all the time to my crabber friends.
Yeah. Well, you ever seen the gecko on Geico when he walks past the crab and he goes, crab cakes?
Yeah.
Crab cakes Saturday.
Okay.
We're going to roll over Hampton. So, all right.
Okay.
All right, my brother. Until next time, everybody check us out. Look us up on YouTube. Please subscribe.
Give us feedback. Tell everybody, you know, how great we are or how bad we are.
Oh, yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah.
We want to get better. Again, we're just 2 guys who love sports. We've got opinions, even though mine are always right. Let us know what you think. We love doing this, and we want you to be involved. We're gonna keep bringing in our guests. I love our interview we had with Jeremiah Davis. We hope to have Creighton Nicomedes, head coach of the Bethel Bruins in Hampton, Virginia. And I like some of the things he's doing with the programs down there. Some of the other potential future guests we're going to have. Melendez Byrd, Virginia Tech alum. A few people like that. He said he'd love to be on the show. We're going to be looking at some other coaches from Northern Virginia to have on the show. Former players. Kirk, who we have someone, a former
Andre Kendrick, who is from EC Glass, played on the national championship team, great running back. He's got an awesome podcast called Draken, and he is just full of personality. I've already watched a bunch of his videos, and he's on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. I wish I knew the dial. He's on FM down in Lynchburg, but really knows Lynchburg football. His son broke a lot of his records at EC Glass. His son is a missionary. Andre's going to be a great guest. He's a hilarious guy. He's funny. You will not get bored. He's going to talk about Zach Rice, where he may be going. Tech and UVA are not in his Final 5. And, we're going to have definitely have some exciting people coming on. So we are over and out on the Kirk and Byrd show, and thank you for following us.
Kirk and Byrd out.
Peace out.